I think my neighbor has been watching me. I don't know what to do. I'm writing this because I need to get it out somewhere, and nobody in my life seems to take it seriously. Maybe you guys will think I'm paranoid too. I don't know anymore. So, I moved into my current apartment about 8 months ago. It's one of those older buildings in the city. You know the type. Hardwood floors that creak, radiators that clang at night, thin walls. Nothing fancy, but it's affordable and close to my work. I'm on the third floor, apartment 3B. There are 4 units per floor, and I share my floor with 3A, an older woman named Mrs. Chen, who I rarely see, 3C, a young couple who argue a lot, and 3D. 3D is where my neighbor lives, the one I need to tell you about. I didn't meet him right away. Actually, I went almost 2 months without seeing anyone from 3D at all. I'd hear footsteps sometimes, a door closing, but our schedules just never lined up, I guess. The first time I actually saw him was in early November, when I was coming home from work around 6:30 p.m. He was standing in the hallway, locking his door, and he turned when he heard my footsteps on the stairs. "Oh, hey," he said, smiling. "You must be the new tenant in 3B. He was probably in his late 30s, maybe early 40s, average height, thinning brown hair, glasses, wore a button-down shirt and khakis like he'd just gotten off work too. Completely normal looking, the kind of guy you wouldn't look at twice in a grocery store. "Yeah, hi," I said. "Moved in back in September." "Welcome to the building," he said. "I'm David. Nice to meet you." I told him my name. We did the usual small talk. "How do you like the building?" "Yeah, the landlord's pretty responsive. The pizza place on the corner is good." Normal neighbor stuff. He seemed nice enough, maybe a little intense with the eye contact, but some people are just like that. That was it. I went into my apartment, he went down the stairs, and I didn't think anything of it. The first weird thing happened about 2 weeks later. I came home from work on a Tuesday. I remember because Tuesdays are always long days for me. I have back-to-back meetings until 5, and there was a coffee cup sitting on my doormat. Not Starbucks or Dunkin' or anything with a logo, just a plain white ceramic mug, the kind you'd have in your kitchen cabinet. It had about an inch of cold coffee in it. I stood there staring at it for a second, confused. My first thought was that someone from another apartment had left it there by accident, maybe set it down while they were unlocking their door and forgot it. But my door is at the end of the hallway, and there's no reason anyone would be standing there except to visit me. I picked it up, looked inside. The coffee was completely cold, and there was a specific smell to it, hazelnut creamer. I use hazelnut creamer in my coffee every morning. It's not that weird of a thing, plenty of people use hazelnut creamer, but it still made me pause. I brought the mug inside and washed it, figuring maybe someone would come looking for it. No one ever did. I forgot about it pretty quickly. It was such a small thing, easy to dismiss. But then, about a week later, there was a note. I almost stepped on it when I left for work that morning. It was a small piece of paper, folded in half, sitting right in front of my door. I picked it up and unfolded it. In neat, blocky handwriting, it said, "Hope you're feeling better. The pharmacy on 5th and Main has good prices." I felt my stomach drop a little. Because here's the thing. I'd called in sick to work 2 days before. I'd had a bad cold, nothing serious, but I'd stayed home and slept most of the day. And yes, I had gone to the pharmacy on 5th and Main that afternoon to pick up some cold medicine and cough drops. It's the closest pharmacy to my apartment. But I hadn't told anyone in the building I was sick. I hadn't seen anyone from my floor in days. I stood there in the hallway holding the note, and I felt the first real prickle of unease. Someone had known I was sick. Someone had known which pharmacy I'd gone to. I folded the note and put it in my pocket. I'm not sure why. Work was busy that day, and by the time I got home that evening, I'd almost convinced myself it was nothing. But when I got to my floor and saw David standing in the hallway again, right outside his door, I felt my heart rate pick up.
"Hey," he said, that same friendly smile. "Feeling better?" I froze. "What? You were sick earlier this week, right? You're feeling better now?" Yeah, I said slowly. "How did you know I was sick?" He shrugged. "Thin walls. I heard you coughing. Sounded pretty rough." "Right," I said. "Yeah, it was just a cold." "Well, glad you're better." He gestured to the paper bag he was holding. "I just picked up some Thai food from that place on Riverside. Have you tried it?" "No, I haven't." "It's pretty good. Anyway, have a good night." He went into his apartment and closed the door. I stood there for a moment, then went into mine. The thing is, his explanation made sense. The walls are thin. I probably had been coughing loud enough for him to hear, but something about the interaction felt off. The way he'd been standing in the hallway like he was waiting. The timing. And he hadn't mentioned the note. I tried to let it go. I really did. But things kept happening. A few days later, there was a receipt on my doormat. Just a crumpled grocery store receipt. I picked it up and smoothed it out, and my hands started shaking. It was from the grocery store I shop at, dated from the day before. And the items on it, organic chicken breast, cherry tomatoes, feta cheese, spinach, white wine, were the exact items I'd bought. The exact items, same brand of feta, same type of wine, everything. I'd paid with my debit card. This receipt couldn't have been mine. Mine was in my wallet. but someone had bought the exact same things I'd bought, or they'd somehow gotten a copy of my receipt. I crumpled it up and threw it in the trash. Then I took it back out and smoothed it again, staring at it. The timestamp showed 6:47 p.m. I'd been at that grocery store at 6:30 p.m. I'd finished checking out around 6:35. Someone had been there. Someone had been watching what I bought. Someone had checked out right after me and left their receipt at my door. I felt sick. I called my best friend, Maya. She's usually pretty level-headed about stuff. Okay, that's definitely weird, she admitted when I told her. But are you sure it's the exact same stuff? People buy chicken and tomatoes all the time. The same wine, Maya, the same specific brand of feta cheese. I checked the receipt. Did you keep it? Yeah. Okay, well, maybe it's just a weird coincidence. Or maybe someone from your building shops at the same store and just happened to buy similar stuff. And left their receipt at your door? She paused. That is the weird part. Have you talked to your landlord? And say what? Someone left a receipt at my door? Fair point. Look, just keep an eye on things, okay? If anything else happens, you should probably say something. Maybe to building management or whatever. I agreed, and we hung up. But I didn't feel better. That night, I started noticing sounds I hadn't paid attention to before. Footsteps in the hallway, the creak of someone standing outside my door, or was it just the building settling? I got up twice to look through the peephole. No one was there either time. But the second time, I could swear I saw a shadow move just outside my field of vision. I barely slept. The next incident happened almost a week later, and it's when I started to really panic. I work in marketing for a mid-sized tech company. It's a pretty standard office job, nothing exciting. I'd been working on a presentation for a client's pitch, and I'd stayed late at the office on Thursday to finish it. I got home around 9 p.m., exhausted and hungry. I'd stopped and picked up Indian takeout on the way home. When I got to my door, there was a small padded envelope sitting on the mat. It was addressed to me, my full name, printed in the same blocky handwriting from the note. No return address, no postage marks. It hadn't been mailed. Someone had put it hand. I brought it inside, set my takeout on the counter, and stared at the envelope. I should have thrown it away. I should have called the police right then, but curiosity won out. I opened it. Inside was a keychain, a simple metal keychain with a small charm attached, a tiny silver coffee cup, and a note card. The message in that same handwriting: "You work too hard. Don't forget to take care of yourself. A friend." My hands were shaking so badly, I almost dropped it. A coffee cup, just like the one that had been left at my door, the one with hazelnut coffee in it. I looked at the keychain, turning it in my fingers. It wasn't anything special. You could buy something like this at any gift shop. But the message: "You work too hard." I had stayed late at work. Someone knew I'd stayed late at work. I went to my window and looked out at the building across the street. Most of the windows were dark. I could see into a few apartments, someone watching TV, someone in their kitchen. Normal city life. Could someone see into my apartment? Could someone be watching me? I closed the blinds. I'd never really bothered with the blinds before. That weekend, I barely left my apartment. I ordered delivery instead of going out. I kept the blinds closed. I found myself listening constantly for sounds in the hallway, jumping every time I heard footsteps. On Sunday evening, I ran into Mrs. Chen from 3A in the stairwell. She was coming back from the laundry room in the basement, carrying a basket. "Oh, hello, dear," she said. "How are you?" "I'm okay," I said, then hesitated. "Can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Have you noticed anything strange lately in the building?" She frowned. "Strange how?" I don't know, people leaving things at doors or watching the hallways, or has something happened? I didn't want to sound crazy. Just some weird things at my door, notes and stuff. It's probably nothing. Her expression softened. "Oh, that might be David. He's very thoughtful. Sometimes he leaves little gifts for people in the building. He left me some tea bags once where I had a cold." My blood ran cold. "David? From 3D? "Yes, he's such a nice young man. Very considerate." "Right," I said weakly. "Yeah, that's probably it." She smiled and continued up the stairs. I stood there, gripping the railing. So it was David. He was the one leaving things. But how did he know these things about me? How did he know what I'd bought at the grocery store? How did he know I'd stayed late at work? I went back to my apartment and locked the door. Then I put the chain lock on too, which I never usually bothered with. I tried to tell myself that Mrs. Chen was right. He was just being nice, neighborly. But it didn't feel nice. It felt invasive. It felt like someone was watching my every move. That night, I couldn't sleep again.
Around 2 a.m., I heard footsteps in the hallway. Slow, deliberate footsteps. They stopped outside my door. I held my breath, staring at the door in the darkness. Silence. Then, very quietly, I heard the sound of paper sliding under my door. I shot out of bed and ran to the door, looking through the peephole. The hallway was empty, but there was a piece of paper on the floor just inside my apartment, white against the dark hardwood. I picked it up with shaking hands. You should get more sleep. Staying up worrying isn't good for you. I dropped the note like it was burning me. He knew. He knew I was awake. He knew I was worrying. Was he watching my apartment? Could he see my lights? Could he hear me moving around? I grabbed my phone and almost called 911. But what would I say? That my neighbor left me a note? That he'd given me a keychain? None of it was threatening. Not explicitly. It was just wrong. Deeply, fundamentally wrong. I ended up calling Maya again, even though it was 2 a.m. He's watching me, I said when she answered, my voice shaking. He has to be watching me somehow. Whoa, slow down, she said, groggy. What happened? I told her everything. The coffee cup, the notes, the receipt, the keychain, and now this latest note. Okay, that's really creepy, she admitted. Have you actually talked to him? Like, confronted him about it? No. Maybe you should. Tell him it's making you uncomfortable. I don't want to talk to him. I don't want him to know that I know it's him.
Then you need to document everything and talk to your landlord or the police. This is stalking. But he hasn't actually done anything illegal, has he? He's just leaving notes. Unwanted, creepy notes that show he's monitoring your activities. That's harassment. She had a point, but I still felt paralyzed. What if confronting him made it worse? What if involving the police escalated things? Just think about it, Maya said. And please be careful. Maybe you should stay with me for a few days. I told her I'd think about it, but I didn't leave. I don't know why. Maybe I felt like leaving would be admitting defeat. Maybe I was still trying to convince myself I was overreacting. The next few days were quiet. No notes, no objects, nothing. I started to relax a little. Maybe he'd stopped. Maybe I'd been right and he was just trying to be nice and had realized it was coming across wrong. I saw him once during this time in the lobby. He smiled and waved. I pretended I didn't see him and walked quickly to the stairs. But then, Thursday night, things got worse. I got home from work around 6:30, exhausted. I'd had a terrible day. Our client pitch had gone badly, my boss had been in a mood, and I'd spilled coffee on my shirt during lunch. I was just ready to change into pajamas and zone out in front of Netflix. When I unlocked my door and pushed it open, I immediately knew something was wrong. There was a smell, a familiar smell that didn't belong. Hazelnut coffee. I stepped inside slowly, my heart hammering. On my kitchen counter, there was a fresh cup of coffee. Steam was still rising from it. Someone had been in my apartment. Someone had been inside and made coffee with my coffee maker using my hazelnut creamer. And they'd left while it was still hot, which meant they'd been here recently, maybe minutes ago. I backed out of the apartment, my whole body shaking. I pulled out my phone and called 911. The police came, 2 officers, a man and a woman. They were professional, thorough. They searched my apartment while I waited in the hallway. They found no signs of forced entry, nothing was missing and nothing was broken, just the cup of coffee. Is it possible you made it yourself and forgot? The female officer asked gently. No, I just got home from work. Could it have been from this morning? I don't drink coffee in the evenings, and it's fresh, it's still hot. They took notes. They asked if I had any idea who might have access to my apartment. I told them about David, about all the notes and objects. Has he ever threatened you? The male officer asked. No, but he's been leaving things at my door, personal things that show he knows details about my life. What kind of details? I explained everything. I could see their expressions shifting from concerned to slightly skeptical as I went on. A grocery receipt, a keychain, notes about taking care of myself. Has he ever tried to contact you directly? Phone calls, texts, or messages? No, just the notes. They exchanged a glance. We'll go talk to him, the female officer said, see what he has to say. They knocked on David's door. I stood by my apartment, watching. He answered after a moment, looking confused and concerned when he saw the police. I couldn't hear everything they said, but I heard him say, What? No, I haven't been in her apartment. I don't even have a key. And notes? I don't know what you're talking about. He looked past them at me, and our eyes met. His expression was hurt, betrayed almost. The officers talked to him for a few more minutes, then came back to me. He denies everything, says he hasn't left anything at your door, hasn't been in your apartment. We can't do anything without evidence of a crime. The coffee, he hesitated. Is there any possibility it could be from earlier, or that someone else has a key? The landlord has a spare. I admitted. We can follow up with your landlord, but honestly, without proof of forced entry or direct threats, there's not much we can do. I'd recommend changing your locks if you're concerned. And document everything. Keep the notes, take photos. If this escalates, you'll want a record. They left. I stood in my apartment, feeling helpless and stupid. I called my landlord and told him what happened. He was skeptical too, but he agreed to change my locks the next day as long as I paid for it. I said fine. That night, I stayed at Maya's. The locks were changed Friday afternoon. New deadbolts, new chain lock, new everything. Only the landlord and I had keys. I felt safer, a little. But Saturday morning, when I came back from buying groceries, there was another note on my doormat. New locks won't help. I'm trying to be your friend. Why won't you let me? I dropped the groceries. Eggs broke, milk started leaking from the bag. I didn't care. I took a photo of the note with my phone. Then I marched down the hallway and pounded on David's door. He answered, looking startled when he saw the police.
Stop, I said, my voice shaking. Just stop. Leave me alone. Stop leaving notes. Stop watching me. Just stop. I don't know what you're talking about, he said, but there was something in his eyes, something that made my skin crawl. You know exactly what I'm talking about. The notes, the coffee cup, the receipt, everything. It's you. I know it's you. I think you're confused, he said calmly. I haven't done anything. Maybe you should talk to someone. You seem really stressed. Don't gaslight me. I'm not. I'm genuinely concerned about you. You called the police on me last night over nothing. You're accusing me of things I haven't done. That's not normal behavior. I stared at him. He stared back, his expression so reasonable, so concerned. Stay away from me, I said finally. I went back to my apartment and locked the door. I was shaking so hard I had to sit down on the floor. He was right about one thing. I had no proof. The notes weren't signed. The receipt could have come from anywhere. The coffee cup could have been from earlier, even though I knew it wasn't. The keychain was just a keychain. And I just made myself look unstable in front of him. I spent the rest of the weekend inside, barely eating. I called in sick to work on Monday. Tuesday afternoon, there was a knock at my door. I looked through the peephole. It was the landlord. Got a minute? He called. I opened the door. Look, he said, not unkindly. David from 3D came to see me. He's concerned about you. He said you've been acting erratically, accusing him of things. The police visit really shook him up. He's been harassing me, I said. He says he hasn't, and I've got to be honest, I haven't seen any evidence of it, but I have noticed you seem stressed. Is everything okay? Work all right? Family stuff? I'm fine. He's lying. The landlord sighed. I'm not trying to take sides here, but if this continues, the accusations, the police visits, I'm gonna have to think about whether this is the right living situation for everyone involved. You understand? I felt cold. You're threatening to evict me? I'm saying everyone needs to feel safe and comfortable in the building. That includes David. Just try to keep things calm, okay? He left. I closed the door and locked it. I was trapped. David had turned it around on me. Now I was the problem tenant, the unstable one. And he knew it. That night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. Every sound made me jump. The building creaking, footsteps in the hallway, a door closing somewhere. Around midnight, my phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. I can see you're awake. You really should sleep. I sat bolt upright, staring at the screen. How did he get my number? How did he know I was awake? I got out of bed and checked the window. The blinds were closed. I checked every room, every window. All the blinds were closed. But he knew. I texted back. Leave me alone. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. I'm just worried about you. You seem so anxious lately. I want to help. Stay away from me. We're neighbors. I can't stay away, but I can be patient. You'll understand eventually. I'm the only one who really sees you. I blocked the number with shaking hands, but it didn't matter. He'd made his point. I'm writing this now because I don't know what else to do. It's 3 a.m. and I'm sitting on my couch with all the lights on, and I can hear footsteps outside my door. Slow, pacing footsteps, back and forth, back and forth. I've called the police twice more. They've talked to David twice more. He's calm, reasonable, denies everything. They've started treating me like the boy who cried wolf. I've shown people the notes. Maya believes me, but she doesn't understand why I don't just move. My parents think I'm having a breakdown. My boss is getting annoyed that I keep calling in sick. The thing is, David was right about one thing. New locks didn't help. Because this morning, when I woke up, there was another cup of coffee on my kitchen counter. Fresh, hot, made with my coffee maker and my hazelnut creamer. And the door was still locked from the inside, chain and everything. I don't know how he's getting in. I don't know how he knows these things about me. I don't know what he wants. All I know is that he's still out there,
right outside my door, and the footsteps haven't stopped. I can see a shadow under the door. Someone's standing there, and I don't think they're leaving. Update. The footsteps stopped about 20 minutes ago. I finally worked up the courage to look through the peephole. There's a note taped to my door. I haven't opened the door to get it yet. I can see it through the peephole. White paper, that same blocky handwriting visible even from this angle. I can read the first line. I know you're looking. I don't know what to do. I'm too scared to open the door, but I also can't just leave it there. The sun will be up in a few hours. Maybe I'll feel braver then. Or maybe I'll just pack a bag and leave and never come back. I don't know anymore. If anyone has any advice, I'm listening. Please.